Welcome to H.E ThinkPod. My name is Francisco.
And I'm Aziz, and at ThinkPod, we speak about the smartest ideas and the biggest challenges facing the world right now. We speak about where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. Today's guest on ThinkPod is His Excellency Amadou Hott, Minister of the Economy, Planning, and International Cooperation for Senegal, who has decades of experience in integrated energy solutions. We discuss the need for investment in Africa and why the race to net zero must take into account the needs of the developing world. Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well. Good to be here. Thank you.
So I'd like to start today with regards to the Green War Initiative. It runs through Senegal. What are your hopes for this project?
First of all, we would like, with the Great Green Wall, stop the advancement of the desert. That's the key goal. So it's through 11 countries in Africa, with Senegal being one of the key countries. The idea is to plant trees and also create some economic opportunities for the populations that live in those areas across that band crossing Africa. And with also the African Development Bank, there is an idea to have solar panels, also to provide electricity, access to energy to people, so that people do not use actually the trees that we will plant as charcoal in the future. We need the energy access as well.
Well, this is fantastic news, and you know that it's a topic that touches really close to our heart. I mean, it's coming out on the heels of the Middle East Green Initiative,
Absolutely.
Which aims to tackle at the heart of the desertification problem and trying to make it more green and plant more trees and become more sustainable. Do you think, Your Excellency, that it's becoming more and more a global approach where everybody's looking at it from different regions and realizing the importance and urgency of fighting desertification and making the world more green?
Absolutely. I think it will be much more beautiful if we have a green economy, growing economy, with access to energy, access to food, access to water, but at the same time having greener cities. And I think that will attract, more tourists as well in those countries, and that will make our living, more sustainable, and also help us really fight the greenhouse gases as well, to capture the carbon. We see how the Congo Basin is playing a key role, for example, around the world to help capture carbon.
What does a green economy look like in Senegal and in Africa broadly?
Africa, if you read the statistics, contributes to climate change for less than even 1 or 2%, especially on the emissions. But Africa is impacted by climate change, more impacted almost than any other region in the world. But at the same time, the African countries have decided to really have very strategic and very ambitious goals in terms of working with the rest of the world to fight climate change. We, however, need to develop as well. We need to grow our economies. We need to create more jobs. We need to build industries. That is why we have to find a way, a balance between greening the economy, stepping away from fossil fuel and gas and all of that, but the need also to develop the economies, because renewable energy, for example, is not sufficient. You can create electricity using let's say hydro, or using solar, or using, let's say, wind, or using even hydrogen, which is more expensive. But to fire the industries, you need, let's say, to burn something. In the past, people were burning coal, which is very bad. And now people use more and more gas, which is polluting much less than coal. So the race to net zero emissions should not be just an ideal race. We need to take into account the need actually for people to live, people to have a decent life, to have jobs and all of that. Because if you, let's say, fight climate change and there are not enough people who are living as well on this earth, it's just idealistic. So we have to strike a balance.
Your Excellency, you seem very passionate about this topic, right? We wonder, how are you making this happen? How are you facilitating more green investment within your capacity?
In Senegal, we, for the last 7 years, with His Excellency President Macky Sall, the Plan Senegal Emergent, which is our strategic plan, we've moved from, let's say, 10% energy mixed with renewable to today 30%. Even if we have gas and we'll produce the gas from 2023, we have gas to power strategy, which is very important for us. But at the same time, we'll keep investing in renewable energy as we build the base load that we need to fire the engines of the economy. We'll use, of course, more renewable energy, we'll use more battery storage in the future, but also we'll use more hydro project as well, hydroelectricity in the future. And that is on one side, on the, let's say, electricity supply side. But as I said earlier, it's not only about the electricity, it's also about firing the engines of the industries. But also, it's about actually finding a way to reduce the emission on the transport sector. That's why in Dakar, which is a very congested city, it's a city of almost now 5 million people, surrounded by water, and we are trying now to finalize rapidly a bus rapid transit, a project of $300+ million. And then second, we are building also a fast train with high speed of 160 kilometers per hour from the center of Dakar to the airport, and all that is helping us actually fight the climate change and contribute towards a net zero emission in the long run.
There are stats that are saying that green investment could, by 2035, could create 30,000 more jobs and lift about 500,000 people out of poverty. How do you feel about this project, and what are you doing right now? What is being done right now that is facilitating this amazing initiative to come to life?
One, the project, for example, to plant trees across the country is now real. This year and next year, we'll be hiring through various projects with government and the private sector, more than 10,000 people. So this is one thing that we are doing that will really help actually provide jobs and opportunities. And number two, we are investing heavily actually in the agriculture sector, providing, let's say, young people with seeds and encouraging them to go back to agriculture. But at the same time, using more fertilizers so that we can use less arable land as well. Because more arable land will mean actually more desertification. What's important also in the future, whether the economy is green or not, is investing in technology, providing the young people with seed money, with grant resources. I'll give you one example. There is a company in Senegal called WAVE, W-A-V-E, that recently raised $200 million with a valuation of $1.7 billion. That company was created less than 4 years ago in Senegal. They started in Senegal on the coast to 70 kilometers from Dakar, not even in Dakar, providing mobile payment services to fishermen and women that are completely out of the banking sector. And it's very cheap. They're hiring many young people, including people in marketing, in call centers, and so on and so forth. So they originated out of Senegal, and now they're expanding into Cote d'Ivoire, into Tanzania, and other African countries. And these kind of stories, I think, need to be told so that investors from this region, from other regions, would know that those kind of super returns can be obtained in countries like Senegal. It's a country of 17 million people. So nobody would imagine you can start a startup there within 4 years, reach a $1.7 billion valuation.
What is the role of the diaspora community in entrepreneurship in Senegal?
The diaspora community plays a key role. Number one, many young entrepreneurs, especially on the tech space, are from also the diaspora. They play a key role, number one. And number two, some of them, they come back home with some capital. Number three, they come back home with expertise. Number four, they come back home with a lot of partnerships and connections and relations that can unlock the potential of our countries, of our economies. That's why Senegal takes seriously its diaspora. We even set up in the past a fund that financed the youth, the entrepreneurs of our diaspora. And we are trying also to raise money from the diaspora. We have some countries, not necessarily Senegal yet, but we've raised money for a major project from the diaspora, issuing diaspora bonds. Nigeria has done it. They raised $300 million several years ago. Ethiopia has done it for some project. And of course, North Africa also, some countries have done it.
So for the post-COVID recovery, right, we have seen huge impact that COVID has had on the world in every domain, right? In your opinion, in two key areas, right, how has it impacted entrepreneurship for you? And then how has it impacted just green investment and green initiatives? Has it helped or hindered, in your opinion?
You know, the COVID-19, first of all, has encouraged innovation. We've seen, for example, in Senegal, some companies that were relatively doing well, but suddenly with COVID was having a lot of activities. E-commerce, delivery companies using motorbikes, mostly founded by young people, suddenly have seen their expertise, grow very quickly. And that was a very positive thing. And on innovation, for example, because of COVID, we've seen an institute like Institut Pasteur of Dakar, which will be producing COVID vaccines in next year, in May, June next year. We're already under construction to build the plant. But one thing that is very important also on COVID, we've seen a greater sense of urgency from the government side, from the private sector, from partners. Things that used to take 12 months, we did them in 3-4 months. And I think if all the challenges that the world and humanity is facing today, if we put in that same drive, that same sense of urgency, that same solidarity as well, I think we can fight climate change, we can fight poverty. During the COVID times, the developed countries put more than $20 trillion in their economies. In a record time like this, $20 trillion in less than 6 months, 9 months, so US 4-point-something trillion, Europe, etc. But what the developing world needs to really address the most pressing challenges is not more than $2 trillion maybe. So 10 times like this. So I think the world can do it in the interest of humanity, because this forum is about invest in humanity. And we cannot let some people behind. COVID brought us together. We mobilized so much resources in a rapid time, but the other issues that we have in this world are also urgent. Climate change, eradicating poverty. So let's apply that same sense of urgency.
Speaking of solidarity, you recently met with your counterpoints in Oman and UAE. Yeah. How important are the relationships with regional powers?
Those relationships are very important. We were in Oman trying to foster our trade and investment relationship. So what we are looking with the Middle East and with Oman and other countries is more trade and investment. The solidarity part can happen because some people, they may need help to get to the next level and then become much better. But the priority for us is really trading and investments, because we have a lot of investment opportunities. If you look at Africa today, we are 1.2 billion people. By 2050, we will be 2.5 billion people. By end of the century, 50% of the youth will be in Africa, 50%. 1/3 of humanity will be in Africa by end of the century. So I think if I were an executive or a CEO of a sovereign wealth fund today, or in a family office planner today, I will put even 1%, let's say 1% of my total assets under management into Africa. I feel that we are not getting enough investment. The investor community is also assessing the risk too highly. There is a risk perception and reality. There is a big gap. Many African countries never defaulted on their bonds, but our yield on the bond is still around 5-6% for 30-year bond. Whereas countries that have some crises sometime, their yield is less than 2%. So I think we need more fairness there as well, so that we can attract more capital from the capital market, cheap capital, and invest in infrastructure to grow the economies, generate more revenue, and repay that debt.
Your Excellency, we want to tell you something. The Future Investment Initiative is all about the investment for future, right?
Yes.
You talked about unequitable investments, right? There's so much money that came for COVID, not much went for Africa.
Absolutely.
Right? Small percentages. What is your action call for the world right now? What can they do to help, and how can they help?
What I would like to say is that for a developmental perspective, to have a better humanity, better people, better future for all of us collectively, some cannot just be on the light side and others on the dark side. And there is a way of solving that problem. The way of solving it is to accelerate whatever we are doing to support Africa develop itself and other countries develop themselves. And for that, we need to have a better risk perception. We need to trust in the future. And we need to also trust the other partners. The youth in Africa is vibrant, is dynamic. We have also leaders in Africa that are vibrant and dynamic. And people are more educated. People are more connected. The youth in Africa knows what's happening around the world. And the youth is demanding more to the government. The youth is demanding more to their elders. And I would like the investor community to believe in that youth and put their money where their mouth is to resolve the infrastructure gap. And once we resolve the infrastructure gap, I think everything else falls into place because we'll be more competitive, we'll improve people's life drastically and create more jobs for people in Africa, therefore for humanity.
Speaking of youth, what personal legacy do you want to leave behind for the future of Senegal?
You know, I left the private sector, went to the development banking world to have more impact in, on the continent, and left the development banks to join the government in Senegal following the call of my president, His Excellency Macky Sall. From a personal point of view, I always wanted to have a positive impact on people's life. I come from a small town called Yeumbeul Sud. If you look at on Google, you'll see it's on the skirts of Dakar in the suburbs with 130,000 people. And it's just 3 square kilometers, 130,000 people in the middle of the slums mostly. And, we escaped. We escaped because of education. Our government in Senegal, all our presidents invested heavily in education, especially the first and President Senghor, who founded Senegal, and the other presidents followed suit as well. So public education has been something very important for us. It's what we call in French l'ascenseur social le plus rapide, the fastest, social elevator. This is the public education system. So we went around the world and did a lot of things and have come back now. And personally, I would like first to impact more the population in that small town where I was born, where I grew up, and where I go again on a regular basis. And inshallah, I'm running for mayor of that town next year in January. And I'm working hard with my team so that we can win the election in 2023. You can be a mayor and a minister at the same time in Senegal. So I'm hoping that if we win the mayorship, we will be able to use our skills, our connections, our hearts and minds to really help transform the life of the people in that town, because we have a lot of poverty, a lot of young people not going to school, a lot of people actually that don't have access to sanitation, a lot of people also that don't have access to business and economic opportunities. And so our goal is to use all our experience, all what we have, 110%, to bring it to that town so that we can create a new town, we can transform the town and make the life of the people of that town a better life, and give an example to the rest of Senegal that is possible. You can come from slums and become an advanced town, but also by doing that, give the example to the rest of Africa.
Your Excellency, first of all, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
In your ambition to become the mayor and cause a positive impact on your humanity, on your community.
Thank you.
And lastly, we thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. We're
Great
so
pleasure.
appreciative of you.
Great pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
We would love you to let others know about this podcast.
So please rate us, leave us a comment, and share with someone who might enjoy it too.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next episode.